So let's talk Monaco because, well, we have a few different headlines we need to discuss, don't we? The implications on the standings, a discussion about drivers who are in form, and a discussion about a track that seemed a little unwell. But we'll start off with the race winner, 5 wins in a row, the youngest ever Monaco Grand Prix winner, a first in what could potentially be a triple crown if you wanted to have the long old career for it, the teenager Andrea Kimi Antonelli. First Grand Slam, I think, isn't it? And his first time getting multiple in a row, obviously, because it comes from his first Grand Prix win, and 5 Grand Prix wins in a row. He was just simply unstoppable today. He ran off into the distance. He was good in qualifying. It wasn't the perfect lap, but he did what he needed to do to get ahead of Max Verstappen. And when Verstappen's car didn't get away from the grid, he just drove off. Kept the Ferraris at bay. Managed to survive 2 different safety car restarts, one of them being a red flag restart. And, yeah, didn't get bogged down, especially with the second race start. That Ferrari has been great, and Lewis Hamilton is one of the greatest to do race starts. And Kimi got away. It was a really good win for him, and especially when his teammate, thanks to that drive-through penalty, finished an unlucky 13th. That's had a massive impact on the driver standings, to the point that Sir Lewis Hamilton's second in the standings. We'll talk about the standings a little bit later on, but yeah, Lewis is second, Russell is third. The gap between the two Mercedes drivers is 68 points. It's impressive. It just shows. I think the best way to describe Antonelli is like F1's Carlo Rovanperä. Rovanperä did 1 year in the top flight, and then when the Rally 1 cars came in, because he had the recent experience of changing around cars, because he had the recent experience climbing up the junior formula ladder, or the junior rallying ladder in the case of Rovanperä, he just hit the ground running. Didn't need to think about, okay, how does it fit in terms of all the other F1 cars I've driven, and he's just gone out and been absolutely wonderful. Well done to him. And let's talk Ferrari as well. Well done to Sir Lewis Hamilton for second place. And he comfortably had the measure of Charles Leclerc this weekend before Leclerc's untimely exit from the race. This is good for Hamilton. It's good because it shows that it was really just that previous rule set of cars that did not work for him. I don't know whether it's that this rule set will particularly work. I would say it's more that the 17 to 21 rules, or 17 to 20 at the very least, was just his absolute bread and butter. But good job for him. Monaco's never been one of his stronger tracks, and yet here he is with second place. The guy who was sort of his protege, the guy who took over that other Mercedes, winning, and another kid who idolised Sir Lewis growing up, in third place. Because Isaac Hadjar rounds out the podium, which means we do have a French driver on the podium in Monaco. Wonderful to see. I think it's the 3rd Italian to win the Monaco Grand Prix, and a French driver on the podium. It would have been Pierre Gasly. I do feel for Pierre Gasly as well, that it could have been him that got it. I know Alpine's put in a request for a right of review on the race result. But, yeah, good job by Hadjar. On the weekend where the Red Bulls were struggling, where he was struggling with power, and as the news has come in, they'll probably talk about in another video that they won't be getting any of the Adamo upgrades, though Ferrari and Mercedes both will. Red Bull do have a capable car that is capable of doing good things. I mean, you could say, yeah, there were struggles with the power unit, but also at the same time, for the ones that made it to the end, you've got Hadjar in 3rd, you've got Lawson in 5th, and Lindblad in 6th. I don't think that the power unit was necessarily too much of an issue around here. But yeah, let's talk about some of the other drivers in this race. Piastri 4th, good job for him, and he made the most out of a weekend where his teammate retired with power unit issues. Gasly 7th, like I said, should have been higher up, but for rotten luck. Alex Albon in 8th. He had the measure of Carlos Sainz Jr. this weekend, whose point-scoring run in Monaco that goes all the way back to his F1 debut came to an end here. Not entirely his fault. You could blame Nico Hülkenberg for it, and then Franco Colapinto, the two people who were at the bottom of the classified order in this race. Esteban Ocon in 9th, that was a good job for him. And across the line in 10th, but losing 10th thanks to a penalty, Sergio Perez. That was a good run by Checo, but 2 penalties. Both times on the starting grid. Just out of position, full start penalties. And as a result, Alonso gets Aston Martin Honda their first points as a combo and of the season. Cadillac demoted out of the top 10. Where does he end up? Doesn't he end up 14th? I do feel for Cadillac. It looked like he could have been first points, and that would have been a nice way to have it. A bit like how the late Jules Bianchi got Mana Marussia their points in Monaco. And it was a calamitous race, so I've pretty much talked about all the finishes there. The only one I haven't really mentioned was Bortoletto, who seemingly had a bit of a quiet race. It's a shame for Audi, where they changed their paint job to the yellow back of it, and instead of the red back, and yet it was a quiet one. I've briefly mentioned George Russell as well, but yeah, just rotten luck for him as well. Didn't get the best qualifying, got caught up in various different things over the course of the race, ends up with a penalty, then gets compounded into a drive-through, and yeah, no score. But I think we talk about the situation with the track very quickly. 2 retirements because of the tarmac going into Anthony Nogue, Charles Leclerc, and Lance Stroll. Now, Lance Stroll's one, I think everybody was ready to clown him, going, oh, look at Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's ended up having an accident. It looked like, and I know these cars are running aggressive toe and camber, but it looked like the front left went before he went to the barrier. The same for Leclerc, though. Leclerc had hit the Nouvelle chicane wall on exit earlier on. But it looked like where the tarmac had broken up, something had happened to the car, because that left on both of those cars, but moreover with Leclerc's, you can see it's a lot more with his. Those front lefts didn't look like they were doing what they were meant to be doing when they understeered off into the wall. Now, part of it will probably be that they locked. Leclerc was so adamant to blame the brakes, even though I think, doesn't all of the grid use Brembo? They just have their own designs for braking systems. And it's not even like a tender or a single manufacturer tender. It just so happens that pretty much everybody goes with Brembo. But yeah, just bad luck for Charles Leclerc there. He just doesn't have good luck around his home track. He historically hasn't. Even though he's managed to get a win. But yeah, what it does mean for the standings is it's no longer a Mercedes 1-2. Lewis Hamilton jumps ahead of George Russell by 2 points. He's 15 points clear himself, Lewis, of Charles Leclerc in 4th. The McLaren's at 5th or 6th. The Red Bulls, 7th and 8th. Those points for Hadjar puts him ahead of Liam Lawson and puts him 14 points behind Max Verstappen. So it's 43 Verstappen, 29 Hadjar, 26 Lawson, who's tied with Pierre Gasly. Then it's Behrman, Colapinto, Lindblad, Sainz. Then it's Albon, 1 point behind his teammate. Then Ocon, Bortoletto, Alonso, Hulkenberg is the first one not to get points. And then Bottas, Perez, and Stroll. And that means for the team standings that Aston Martin closes up to Audi. There's 1 point for Aston, 2 points for Audi, 11 for Williams, 21 for Haas, 39 for Racing Bulls, 41 for Alpine, 72 for Red Bull, 118 for McLaren, 165 Ferrari, and 244 for Mercedes. But that's all for this video, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, from me on this channel, it's bye-bye for now.